Dynamic driver IEM. Is it making a comeback or am I just late to the party? I got the UCOTECH RE3PRO. Let's talk about it. Big thanks to Audio here in Singapore, who are longtime friends of the channel and distributor for UCOTECH IEMs, among many other brands. UCOTECH sent over the RE3 Pro for review, but as always, they don't have any say over this video. We'll drop their link in the description below. Also, just a quick one, if you'd like to support the channel, help me out by hitting subscribe. Really helps me keep making these videos. Right, so welcome to Project Beast. My name is Joven. To be honest, I have forgotten about IEMs. I only use mine for stage monitors when I get to play on stage, and also when I run out of headphones to use in the studio for tracking. They have their pros and cons, of course. For me, I just enjoy the big headphones more than the IEMs shoved in my ears. But will the RE3 Pro change my mind? Let's start with the overall package. The build and the kit. By the way, I'm using it to monitor my audio, if you didn't notice that. Yeah, just to monitor this video recording. Going back, the build and the kit looks really solid. You get this high quality braided balanced cable. Also comes with the adapter 4.4 to 3.5. And I also received the NURI dongle DAC. More on that in a bit. It comes with a small carry case right here. Everything fits inside and compact enough. Going straight to sound quality, of course, this is subjective. Just going over the things that I like. And the first thing that hits you with the RE3 Pro, bro, that bass on this thing sounds really expensive. Initial impression, which to this day, having used it a couple of days now, remains true. Lows are not bloated, some would call it warm, but as per their blurb on the website, they say RE3 Pro achieves a flat yet musical signature. Yeah, I guess it's pretty bang on, but just in my interpretation, I would say it's neutral with good energy on the highs and a really good sounding low end. IEM naturally need that low end energy in my opinion, otherwise it feels dull or dead. So yeah, as I said, it's neutral with that lively detail on the low end. Not boomy or bloated in any way. I don't necessarily think it sounds warm, to be honest. I would maybe call it fun, but I guess a tiny bit more energy than neutral on the low end. To me, the bass here is the biggest selling point. It's got that big reference headphone low-end energy and quality that I actually started enjoying using IEM again. Going to the mids, I think the mids are smooth. Vocals shine. More so with the female vocals, I think. But yeah, vocals are great on this thing. Lead guitar lines and the chime rings beautifully. I think it's well presented here. Now, as for the highs, I am a bit sensitive to highs. So IEMs and headphones that audiophiles call airy, bright, and has a good shimmer. Most of the time, I need to shelf them down a tiny bit just so I can listen for longer. Like, you know, your DCA, which I have right here. DCA Hi-Fi Man, I don't have. And some other headphone brands that have that bright top end. Audiophiles love those. But to me, I need a shelf for those top end. So, going to the top end on the RE3 Pro, it's actually clear and detailed enough. It's airy. It's just that, for my preference, it is a tiny bit much. But otherwise, I really like it. I usually listen loud, but on this, because of the top end and without EQ, I have to turn the volume down. I end up at about max 80% volume on my iPhone using the NURI DAC dongle. Imaging is good and staging it as well. Average of what you'd expect for an IEM. I do get the sense of the room for live tracks, but it's not going to compete with open backs, of course. But as far as IEMs, it's got a good sense of space, and I do enjoy listening with it. I find it to be immersive still. So yeah, as far as DAC pairing that I have used with it, I enjoy it with my Mojo 2. You get 4 EQ settings on that. I do 1 to 2 clicks down on the highs, and I'm all set. To be fair though, with the NURI DAC dongle, which they say does 32-bit 384 kilohertz, I find it really controlled, especially on the top end. It's not bad actually. It gives it that full range without being tiring on the top end, which is really good. I don't know how they did that. Both my Mojo 2 and RME FSR Black, I'm getting that tiny bit of that whistling top frequency on bright tracks, about 11-12K, which somehow I'm not getting with the NURI. Is that crazy? Or I don't know what's happening there with the NURI, but it sounds a little bit warmer than my Mojo and my RME. Or maybe it's just less obvious for me. I really don't know. It's still bright sounding with the NURI, but I don't notice that 12K whistle at the top end. So yeah, it's a nice music listening experience just with the NURI dongle to your phone or your iPad or what have you. It's good to know you don't really need to immediately buy a DAC or, spend money for that if you're first time getting into this. So of course, being a studio guy, I tried tracking with it. My biggest problem is loud high frequencies, meaning your cymbals, they leak in and it's very distracting when I'm playing to the point that I can't really play properly. I'm assuming it's the ear tips material, but to be fair, I don't think they really designed this for studio use anyway. Although they have the Pro in their name, I don't know what that means. Now I'm confused. But yeah, not for drums at least, I guess. On the flip side though, the great thing with that ear tip is you don't get that occlusion effect where that built up air pressure makes you feel trapped in your head after wearing an IEM for a long time, especially for custom IEM, at least in my experience. So the original ear tips makes it good for listening for long hours, which I appreciate. It's just not great at tracking drums. So during my first week testing the RE3PRO, I got a call to play on stage. I brought the RE3 with me, of course. And of course, I forget to shoot some B-roll. It was a really busy day anyway. So this time I bought a memory foam ear tip because I wanted to test my theory if that was the problem. The short answer is yes, that was the problem. It got rid of the loud high frequencies creeping in. It made for a very competent tracking and stage IEM actually. The downside is you lose that beautiful sound presentation that you get originally with the original ear tips, which I really liked. But on stage, actually, I don't really care about sound quality to that end because there's a lot of things happening on stage. So as long as I'm able to hear what I need to hear, I am set. That really isn't the time for music enjoyment anyway. I just need punchy attacks and fast transients, to be honest, which I still get with the Comply memory tips on. So for drums, whether tracking or on stage, I would need that memory foam tip. For other instruments on stage, especially if you're close to the drums, you'd probably want that memory foam tips as well. For that application, it works really well. For tracking other instruments, especially vocals, I think you'd want to go back to the original tips because singers usually like to hear some ambient sound anyway. I imagine this will be good for that. Other instruments as well, this should work no problem. As long as you're not playing near or around a drummer, you should be good even with the original tips. I did try and compare it with my A12 64 audio, not the TIA model, but the one before it. It's the only IEM I have actually, so I got no other comparisons. I don't use it a lot anymore for mixing, whether initial, rough, or final mix. Maybe A/B here and there, I use headphones more. Anyway, just for listening to music, I enjoy the RE3PRO more than the 64 audio. The A12 is a bit more forward on the mids in comparison. Low end felt a little more dipped. The RE3PRO felt more open on the top end. Of course, the 64 audio is a dedicated studio and stage in-ear monitor. So it's going to be all about the, detail retrieval, more about that neutral sound that studios like, and the present mids and detail top end. Sorry, I don't have a lot of IEMs. That might be a pointless comparison. For music listening, I would 100% go with the RE3PRO. It's a fraction of the price of the A12, I would say. So yeah, for my preference, actually, it performed really well. I get punchy attacks, fast transient, smooth mid-range, and I get that low end that sings beautifully. Top end, if they can relax that a little bit more from my preference, that will be bang on. But besides that, I really like this IEM. As I mentioned before, that low end sounds expensive for what it is. I guess you can call that neutral with a fun low end. If I'm on a pinch, I would be okay to mix with this. Slight EQ correction. With that setting, I could use this for, quick mix, voiceovers, and even drum covers and whatnot. In a pinch, if I'm on the move and I need to be really light, I'm taking this one with me for sure. That's about it for this video. Please consider subscribing and see you guys in the next project.